and welcome to the Abundology Podcast. I'm here with Kronda Adair, who is a recovering WordPress developer turned marketing coach. That couldn't be any better because everybody knows WordPress and can totally relate to that. So you have been doing this for about 7 years now with your own business.
Yep.
And work now primarily with women service-based entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been excited to talk with you because one of your big things is automation.
Yes.
And this comes up a lot when I'm talking with different clients about how to make more money, work less, and automate some of the stuff that, we continue to do day after day, the same thing. It's like we send the same emails over and over.
Yep.
So I'm sure you see this a lot when you're working with people.
I think it's like being in a bad relationship. It's like when you're in it and you're like, no, this is fine. You're like, this is fine, dog. Right?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fine. Right? And then once you automate and you get out of it, you're like, oh. Like, I literally had a website client a few years back, and 2 weeks after we launched the site, I checked in, and he's like, my phone stopped ringing.
Oh.
Which is good, because they were doing everything manually just by phone and email. They were booking all these clients for these tours. And it was like, they'd book, they'd pay cash when they show up. If they showed up, they were answering the same questions over and over again by phone and email. And he was like, oh, it's quiet.
Yeah.
I can actually go hike. I can actually do some other stuff, So, yeah.
And that's interesting because I talk to a lot of clients that get that email anxiety.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
You open your email and your stomach's all tight because people need shit from you. But it's the same stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
So I love the feeling now where I open my email and I'm actually happy to see emails from people,
Yeah, and you can get replies from automated emails. Like, it's still personal. And when people reply, like, it's not you sending out this mass email to this mass group of people. It's one person in their inbox, opening it, reading it, reacting to it, maybe responding to it, and then you get to kick off a conversation or a relationship or some business.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I love it.
So what are some of the ways now that you see that automation is changing? Because business is really changing right now. We're in that, I think we're kind of waking up to the beauty of automation and how it can enhance our lives and especially make us more money. So what are some of the ways that you have been working with clients to do that?
So there's these levels, and a lot of people are at the level where maybe somebody signs up to your newsletter and they get a welcome, right? Or you maybe like automate and you pre-schedule your newsletters to go out, and like that's great, right? But really where the money is in thinking about and sort of getting a step ahead of people and reacting to how they interact with your content. So being able to say, oh, this person went to the booking page, but they didn't book.
Right.
And so let's kick off an email to them saying, hey, were you, did you forget? Like,
right.
Because most people, like, they appreciate that. They're like, oh, yeah, I did mean to do that, right? So being like, and that requires people to sit down and really think about, like, the customer journey. And how do people end up buying my services? And what do they need to understand and believe in order to do that? And what are some actions they might take that I can react to? And like all these things that most business owners, they're just like go, 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 and they don't take the time to do that. But if they did, oh my God, it would change everything.
It's amazing. All the contact points from the moment your person looks at your website for the first time to the first phone call. We don't think those things through as business owners, which is crazy to me. All of the touch points and how do you want your client's experience to be?
Right. And if you just flip it and think about it as a consumer and think about the last thing you bought, like, some significant thing, I'm sure maybe you were in the aisle of a store and you were like, oh, let me look that up on like Amazon or Google and get some reviews, right?
Exactly.
And see some reviews, but you're not asking people for testimonials,
yes.
Right? These are, if I don't know what happens. We just get so blind when it's us, and we're like, no, people will just buy. And it's like, no.
Well, and I'm gonna fess up to that right now as we're talking about this because I started my business and I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna see what I like and see what works. And so I, every single day, am on my clients to get your newsletter emails set up and all of that. Do I have them at the bottom of every one of my pages? Absolutely not. So I haven't done that. So I'm fessing up right now. That is on my agenda to do this week. But these are simple things. These are the simple things that you're probably talking about on the first level.
Yeah. And then, the next level is to think about it, basically like creating a choose your own adventure for people, right?
I love this.
Especially if you have different services or different tiers of your service, you can kind of see like where people are going on your website, what are they looking at, in your content, what are they engaging with, what emails are they opening, how many times are they opening, and you can react to all of that, and you can say, oh, this person is interested in this thing, so let me send them this follow-up sequence that asks them, like, hey, are you interested in this? Like, let me tell you more about this. And the more relevant you are, the more money you're gonna make.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. So that's sort of where we are, is like, if you really want to automate and make a lot of money and be able to have sort of business I think we all go into business for, where it's like, oh yeah, you work hard, but you don't work hard like 50, 60 hours a week, right? It's not,
exactly.
It's like, that's what we go into it, and then the reality becomes different. And in order to have that dream, you have to step back and you have to do that thinking and that planning.
Well, and that's a good reminder, because all of us have had really crappy jobs, let's face it, where we're like, what are these people doing? If they would only do this, they would make so much more money. Then we start our own companies.
Right.
And we don't do the things that we said that the other company should do. So it's a good reminder to it's time to up your game.
Yeah. I went into one of my Facebook groups full of women entrepreneur Facebook group, and I said, okay, tell me all of your stuff about email. Tell me all of your fears, all of your hangups, all of your excuses, like, give it all to me. And it had like 70 plus comments or something.
Oh my.
And then I took those and I basically synthesized, like, okay, what are the themes? And then I made a video. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna debunk all your shit, RIP your excuses. Like, here's all your stuff. And a lot of it, one of the prime things is like, people are like, I don't want to bug people, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be that like annoying person. Yes. And I was like, just because you've experienced bad marketing doesn't mean you have to give bad marketing.
Yes.
And like, just because you're not having any orgasms doesn't mean someone else is not having them on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we just assume like, oh, I experienced this, and so that's what it would be like if I did it.
If I did it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can create the experience that you want.
Yeah. Such a good reminder. And that is one of the major things, though, that I hear also. Like, I don't want to bug people. Mm-hmm. Well, if they're at your website, they're looking for something. They want to see if you can fulfill one of the things that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so you're not bugging them.
Yeah.
They're coming to you. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing that is one of the top objections is, I don't know what to say.
Oh.
And that one kills me, because you do know what to say. You say it every day, over and over again. You say it, you give presentations about it, you say it in email over and over again. And I was just on another podcast, and he said, what's one valuable action that someone could take right now? So I'm going to share this too.
Yes,
here.
please.
If you just sit down for 30 minutes and just write 10 things that you get asked all the time and 10 mistakes that your market is making all the time, you probably have content for at least 6 months.
That's so true. That's so true.
That's all I
And that's it.
That's all I do.
That's what your job is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I literally take clients through a process where we just come up with 100 ideas in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And all of them are like, this is never going to happen. I'm like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's really simple. It's not. Yeah.
Like, I have difficulty understanding that too, because there's so much to talk about. That, I do business consulting and abundance stuff, and, I have all of these different, I have, psychic abilities also. So I have all of these things I can talk about. Sometimes I have so much to talk about that I need to focus what it is, so I'm not, out in left field.
Yeah. Well, and before you do this exercise, you have to know who you're talking to.
Exactly.
That's how you focus. You have to pick.
Good point.
Okay, who's the person I really want to help? Who's like the ideal, like, I would almost work with you for free, but not.
Right.
Right? But it's so fun. It took me a long time to get those clients where I'm like, oh my God, we're having so much fun
Yes.
right now and I'm getting paid. And then those are the people you talk to and no one else.
And
You
no one
might
else.
get other people who are not quite those people. That's fine.
So is there a way to automate to kind of weed those people out so that you're getting the ideal clients then?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if you just go Google me and look at any of my content, like I'm constantly weeding.
Renee, that's all I'm talking about.
You do it by being yourself. You know, people are like, oh, I don't want to offend people, and it's like, yeah, you actually do. You actually do. Like when I was talking about tech all the time, I would tell you all the things I refuse to, all the tools and things out there. Like the number one article on my site still is why I don't use GoDaddy, and why, like, if you want to use GoDaddy, that's fine. I don't fuck with that. Like, you can go hire someone else. Right. And it's still, I think it's the number one site because other developers are pointing people to it, like pointing their clients to it, going, no, this is why you shouldn't do that.
That's
right.
Great.
But you have to plant your flag. And so, you know, my flag has changed over the years as it's gone towards automation and coaching, but I still have them and I'm still planting them all over. And you can still go look at pretty much any of my videos and go, oh yeah, okay. If I don't jibe with this, then.
Right. And so when I had Rose City Mortgage on our first homepage, because both my mom and my son are gay, it was like, we help the community, and we're sustainable. We were the number one green company a couple of years. I mean, all of our statements are right there. So if that doesn't agree with you, that's fine.
Yeah.
We don't want to work with, we didn't say that, of course,
Right,
but that weeded the people out right away that may have some
Exactly.
prejudices or something that we didn't want to work with.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, filters, I'm really big on filters as well, because as a service provider, your time is just, it's precious, and you want to spend it, on the highest things you could be doing. And so one of my really simple filters is, if people want to get on the phone with me, that's fine, and it's free, but you got to fill out a form. You got to tell me, you got to be willing to take 15, 20 minutes and tell me, like, why is this important to you? What is your business about? What do you need help with, right? And so someone was, referred to me yesterday who technically filled out the form, but, was like phoning it in, like
one or two word
answers. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work.
No.
So, and if people just want to have, an informational interview, then I'm like, okay, you can pay for that.
Which is good.
Yeah.
The more that we value ourselves, the more other people value us.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how that works. If you're just giving away your time for free, people aren't going to value you.
Yeah. And people have a lot of coffee dates, I think, when
that's
one of the
when
things.
they're first starting to.
Yeah.
I think that's a big
I think
thing.
there's definitely a season for that.
There
right?
is a season. Yes.
But when you get past that season, other people don't know that.
Yes.
They're still going to ask you for coffee dates.
Yes.
And so I actually have a post on my website, and it's like, here's why I'm not going to have coffee with you.
That's
great. And it's full of resources. Like, here's links to everything that you would ask me about if we were going to have coffee.
Yes.
And you can go do that on your own.
That's such a good point.
Yeah. And having those avenues for people to, because they do want to get to know you, and they want, especially if have like a high ticket service, they want to know, like, who is this person that I'm about to give them money. And so there's, after 7 years of blogging and videos and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, I'm like, no, you can find out everything that you want to know about me.
Now.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for sticking that in my head. But that's what you want, and you want to leave that trail. And people, so sometimes people come to me and they're like, I hate social media, and I'm like, well, then you hate money.
Yes. It's
like,
so
people need
true.
You need to show up for people.
And show up authentically.
Yeah.
Stop hiding behind the societal bullshit out there. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you attract your people.
Exactly. I had a financial, he was like a wealth financial advisor, and he was like, yeah, I will put on Twitter, I'll pose questions, for people to talk about, but I won't really weigh in. And I'm like, But you're messing with people's money.
Yeah.
So they need to know what you think.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I'm not going to you if you're an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he came around to being a little more forthright.
And I think that our society is moving, let's hope, more toward that now, where there are stores that I don't go into because of their political views or how they treat animals or many different reasons. I'm not giving them my money.
Yeah.
So I think that that's becoming more and more important now. Like, people are aligning and doing business with people that resonate with them, that have the same values.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's super important.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the first level, which majority of people are
Sign up for my newsletter.
Sign up for my newsletter, and they get a welcome. They get
a welcome email.
Okay.
That's like baseline.
Yes, exactly. And then the second level was more of the 10 things, the 10 questions.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So like anticipating what people are really going to need to know in order to buy from you and putting that in front of them. And even better if you can do it, after sort of that initial series, if you can do it in response to how they're actually interacting
with their website and your content.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Just that is brilliant.
Yeah, if you just took the next 3 months and just did that, and I have a really amazing tool that I use called Member Vault, and it's a place to host your content. So you can put your free content, your paid content.
Oh, nice.
And it integrates really well with your email service so that people can get tagged based on how they're, so it's
nice.
So level 1 is maybe you have a landing page on your site and people, you're download my freebie, and they download a PDF and it goes into their downloads folder and they never see it again.
Yep.
Right? So Member Vault hosts the content, and so you can put all your stuff up there, and then they get engagement points for looking at modules and lessons, and you can see how people are interacting with it, and you can tag them, and that even gives you more ability to react, not just oh, they viewed this page on my website, but oh, they signed up for this mini course. So your 28 days of
making money. Yep.
Right. So that would be a perfect use case where it's not just sending an email. It's oh, go get today's lesson.
Right.
So now not just they opened the email, but they went to the lesson. Oh, I can ask you a question. I can do a little quick.
I can interact with you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I love it for that.
Yeah.
It adds a whole nother layer.
Well, I have to say, because this is the first automation that I've done, and so I love figuring out. That's why I love this job. Is I love figuring out how things work, and so I'm at the very baby stages. But in the process of doing this, and then the amount of money that I made in that first day selling these, it has blown my mind. It has opened up my mind to how much that you can make on things that you say every single day.
Yeah.
And not, so one, how much money you can make, but then two, for me, because I'm charging very little, because I have I want to get this content out there to the people that really need it. Mm-hmm. So by being able to get it out there and market it better, more people are going to pick it up. More people are going to use it. And which I hope, the bigger picture, it helps more people in society. And,
Absolutely.
We have to start somewhere. We're such a mess. We have to start somewhere. So this is
Exactly.
my little baby contribution, So that's why I'm so excited to talk with you today, and I am going to hire you too. You're my first guest that I'm going to hire to help me with some things as we move on. So so we have level 1, level 2, and then what about level 3?
So a lot of people think of automation in terms of marketing only.
Yeah.
But you can widen that, and you can think about automation in terms of your entire business. So you can look at what are you doing over and over again. And can I hire some software to do this?
Hire some software.
And one of the first things after marketing that I like to look at is onboarding. What happens after someone gives you money?
Right.
What happens? If it's a service and if it takes you a while to deliver, let's say I work with a lot of web folks, because that's my background. So a lot of web designers and developers. It's okay, you get that deposit, and then what happens? You go away and you're doing all this thing, and your client's I just gave that person a bunch of money. I hope they're doing stuff,
and
right?
I haven't heard from them in a week. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so exact same process. Okay, what do they need to know? What are the things they're going to ask you? Man, how great would it be, and how great would your client feel if as they're having whatever anxious thought or whatever question, they get an email from you with a link to a video, and it's like, hey, you're probably thinking about this right now, so let me tell you how this is going to work, right? So onboarding is like, that's how you begin to make evangelists out of your clients.
That's so good.
That's like the next level.
Yeah, I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and then you can move on and you can just think about like little things like notifications and, you know, moving information around. And if you don't know about Zapier, Zapier is everyone's friend.
Yes.
It's a tool that basically helps you connect different software together. So if you're using two different things that don't natively integrate, you can go to Zapier and say, I would like ActiveCampaign to talk to Calendly, and this is what I want to happen when someone schedules, and you know, it's great.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There's so many little tools like that now out there that, you know.
It's so easy. This is the thing. People are overwhelmed and they complain, but it's like, I have created membership sites for people who were basically like using sort of private WordPress posts duct taped together to deliver their, you know, it's like you can spin up things so easily now, like just comparatively speaking. Like if you're not technical, it might still seem hard and overwhelming, and I certainly have clients like that, but comparatively speaking, it's like, we have WordPress. WordPress has page builders. You don't have to use Squarespace.
Yes,
anymore,
yes.
You know?
There's so many things like that.
So,
and I'm one of those, I don't know, spoiled people that I've had an admin for 20 years. So I didn't learn any of this. And now that so part of my doing my new job now is I'm excited to learn. Oh my God, I didn't know I could have I could know a scheduling could do this and my marketing could do this, and this is amazing. So my mind is a little bit blown. And it's also, I'm going to say this as people that may be managers out there or own companies, it takes absolutely no time at all to do some of these things. I had an admin and it would take her literally all day long to do something I do in 20 minutes. So now I have better expectations or knowledge of how long things take. Mm-hmm. And it's no time at all. And really, if I can figure this stuff out at home by Googling, how do I do this?
Yeah.
You know, people can do that.
Yeah. And I am a really big advocate. Like I have a video about like DIY-itis is killing your business. But I also feel that you need to know enough, right? You need to, you know, like, and the example I always give is we wanted to landscape our yard and we know nothing about landscaping, and we hired the guy who said he could do everything. Oh, I can do the hardscaping. Oh, I can build your fence. Oh, I can plant the plant.
I can do it all.
I cannot tell you the disaster that it was. Like, I can't even just imagine the biggest disaster and then like times 10 because we didn't know enough to know. And so a lot of my content is trying to give people that knowledge of like, this is what's out there, right? These are the tools that are available to you. These are the things people should be asking you if you're thinking about hiring them, you know?
Yes.
And so, so that person who didn't want to answer my form, like everybody that I would have referred him to also has a form. You know?
Right.
So it's like I can't even help you. So
right.
Yeah. And so I think it's good to learn enough to be dangerous and to know what the questions that you should be asking.
In the olden days too, there was web people and they had all the magic knowledge, and you didn't go on your own website and touch anything because you might screw it up.
Right.
But now it's so easy. Something isn't quite working on your website. You need to have, especially if you're a solopreneur, you need to have the knowledge to be able to go on there and identify what it is and fix it without waiting 2 or 3 days for a web person to get back to you.
And whoever built your website should have built it with that in mind.
Yes.
And shown you how to do that.
Shown you how to do it. Yes.
Yes. You don't need to call somebody and wait 3 days to fix that misspelled word.
Yeah. Those are the olden days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are good reminders. So what are just some of the simple things that people sitting at home that are just getting started, and I know you said some of them about, let's talk about email. What email host do you like the best?
ActiveCampaign.
ActiveCampaign.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I have, so before we continue, I'll say one of my life goals is to be able to answer almost every question I get with a link. So I practice what I preach.
I love it.
So I have a video. It's 5 minutes. I did a video challenge in 2018. I did a 30-day video challenge, mostly because people were telling me how hard it was to do video, and I was like,
it is not.
So much.
It's not that much. Yes.
So I did a video challenge, it's 30 days. So a lot of that is like the things that I get asked a lot. So I have a 5-minute video about why I use ActiveCampaign. I probably should update it, but it's there. So that's my. But
and
I think
you host. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you host all of these videos on your website then, so people can go there and like the basic questions I'm asking.
Yeah.
What's the emails? You know.
So if you go to Karvel Digital and you just search ActiveCampaign, or you search, even if you search 30-day challenge, I have a tag where you can get all those. I should make a YouTube playlist as well, but basically for the month, it's like the way that I look at software is not just like what's going to be good right now, but what's going to be good in 2 or 3 years. And so a lot of people start with MailChimp, or they start with MailerLite, or they, there's a lot of stuff out there because it's free or it's cheap. Right. And it's like 2 years isn't that long. And transitioning softwares is a pain. Right. So begin as you mean to go on. That's one of my primary principles when I'm choosing software. And so ActiveCampaign is accessible price-wise, for the relative beginner. And power-wise, you can build $1 million business on it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I do have a client right now that they're at that stage where, they started with MailChimp and now they're at their 5,000 follower, which is great. Good for them. We've been working on getting more people to sign up for the newsletter. But now we're at this, we've kind of outgrown MailChimp.
Yeah.
So, and then to transfer all of that over, it's a job.
It is. It's a total job. And are your contacts already segmented?
Yep.
Okay, so that's good.
No, theirs aren't, but yes, I know one of those questions.
Yeah,
yes.
And so then you start to think about like, what are you've got 5,000 people, like those people aren't all the same. You don't want to be messaging those people about the same things.
Exactly.
You need to have a way to segment them. And the great thing about ActiveCampaign is that you can actually plan that out. You can say, what are my audience segments? What are the things that would differentiate people where I would talk to them differently about something. And you can actually plan that in advance, and you can prep the platform for those people to come in. So like leads you don't even have yet can come in, and they can just be segmented based on how they came in, which form they used, their behavior, all these things, and you can prep that in advance. So that brilliant. It's not this big job that like, we didn't think about that.
Yeah, we didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And we had talked briefly about a float tank company that you worked with.
Yeah. So I worked with Float North, and so she had an email form, right, a sign-up form. So that was like, it was a little below baseline because when you signed up, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's fix that. And so all we did was take all of this great, amazing, nerdy knowledge that she had about floating and why it's amazing for you, and science-based benefits and some woo-woo-based benefits, and we took all of that and put it into a welcome series. And then we gave people an incentive to actually get on the list, so you can get 3 floats for get a deal on your first 3. And, and then just set that up. So it's like, okay, now you've got incentive to give your email because you can get 3 floats, right? You can actually feel what this practice is like.
Right.
And then you automatically get educated about like why this is good for you and why it should be a practice. And it was the stuff she was saying over and over, and we got it into email.
Well, what I particularly liked about it, though, is we have and I think she asked you this question even as are you interested in the woo-woo explanation? Or are you interested in the scientific explanation?
Yeah. And there's a way, like you can send someone an email and say, click here if you want woo in the next email, click here if you want science. And then, we program the robots to give you what you chose.
That's brilliant. And we want what we want. Yeah. If I want woo, I don't want science, or maybe I want a combination. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I talk to so many people too that have multiple, they're a coach and they're a massage therapist and they do this and then they do that. Me being one of them, I don't think really there's people do one thing so much anymore.
Yeah.
So this is another brilliant way to be like, what do you want? Do you want the coaching? Do you want the woo? Do you want this? Do you want that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love it. And so simple.
I know. And I really like the planning part of it. I don't so much do the execution myself, but what I like is sitting people down, and like I did a half-day intensive with one of my clients just about like onboarding and her client process, and like what's her project process. And she had tried to do it herself, and she's like, I drank so much water, so she just, she would just like, her brain would just resist. She's like, oh, I'm thirsty. I've gotta go. And
That's great.
So we just got into a room for half a day, and with a bunch of sticky notes, and it just gave her so much clarity. And like, I love doing that, like drawing that out of people.
And that's one of the great things I think about planning out your website, is you have to really think about your business. Mm-hmm. What is your business? How's it going to work? How are you presenting it? How is it going to flow? All of that.
Yeah.
Building a website, or the process of the planning of the building of the website, is one of the first things you need to do if you're starting a business, because it really makes you think about all the little details and dial them in.
Yeah. Although, okay, so here's where I'm gonna zag a little bit.
Oh,
because
zag, yes.
As a former web person, I definitely would have agreed with you. Like even 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, you got a business, you need a website. I think if you have a business, or you want to have a business, the first order of business is to go get clients. And you don't need a website to do that.
That is so true.
And so I would much rather, because, especially as my prices went up, it's like, I don't want to build a website for someone who isn't sure they have a business, or they have an idea that they're in love with, and they're so in love with their idea that they're not listening to the market.
Right.
Right?
Good point.
So that's, when I said I work with service-based entrepreneurs, tends to be more experience. Like, they know they're badasses.
Right.
Like, they do what they do, and they're good at it. They're not so great at marketing.
That's such a good point, because I work with the badasses too. So they're like ready to go, and we know what we're doing. But you're right. If you're feeling it out, and that's what I did, is I put it out there like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for 10 people, 10 of my friends, and friends, thank goodness for friends and people that I knew on Facebook. Come and meet with me. And I got to perfect what I was doing and realize, oh, I don't really like doing this part of it, but I really like doing this part of it. Mm-hmm. So that's such a good point.
Yeah. So go sell first, and then people, and if you're super resistant to that, then entrepreneurship might not be for you.
That's true.
It's like, if you really would rather go get 1,000 Instagram followers instead, that's not actually entrepreneurship.
That's so true. Yes. Very good point.
Yeah, it's so, I've seen it all. Maybe not all, but I've seen a lot. And it's like, you get around experienced entrepreneurs and you become a little more experienced, and those signs just are like, they just light up,
flashing.
It's just like, oh wait, you're not actually serious yet, come back.
Yeah, come back when you are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. I know that you have this Content Bootcamp coming up.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that before we end.
So like I said, recovering WordPress developer, right? And one of the catalysts for switching to coaching was that I was really coaching people through these projects who didn't understand marketing but wanted a website, right? So Content Bootcamp is, how do you use all the things we've been talking about? Like, how do you use content to sell your service? Because people don't want to be salesy, they don't want to be pushy, they don't want to, do all these things. Let your content do that for you, right? And so I would say I teach people how to be people online, because I meet these amazing entrepreneurs, and they're brilliant, and they're passionate, and they're energetic, and they're vibrant in person. And they do not know how to show up that way online. And so the quick, Cliff Notes version is that Content Bootcamp will teach you how to put into your content what you can do in person, so that people can find it on their own. By the time they come to you and you talk to them, they've sold themselves.
Right.
And I have a great example, actually. Yesterday, I have 2 clients. One of them works with white people and does like cohorts to help white people sort of dismantle white dominance.
Okay.
And it's like a 6-month anti-racism practice.
Oh.
And so then I have another client who's a designer. She came to me and she's like, so Rebecca got me. Like, basically, my designer client signed up for this cohort because the messaging was just so on point. And she's like, I watched it happen. I was like, I know what's happening right now, and I can't even stop it, and yes, I'm signing up.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was a pretty great moment.
That's super cool.
And this was a person, when we first started talking, I was like, what are your goals? She's like, I don't really have any. And I'm like, I can't help you. So she went and found some, and now she's killing it. So.
Wow. That's a great story. Yeah. I love that. So, well, I'm going to put all your contact info in the write-up to the podcast. And I would love to have you come back in maybe 6 months or so and share, some more of what you do, because let's be real, this is where business is going. We're living in a time where we have access to these tools that make our lives better.
Yeah.
It gives us back time.
Yeah.
And more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can live.
Yeah. So we can live and not work.
Yeah.
So we can enjoy our lives.
Exactly.
Totally. So thank you.
Thank you.